Hello there guys, it's Libby, otherwise known as Silverlief, and today we're back with more of Mum's journal. I plan on painting the cover today. I'm going to start with a stencil and a paint pen with a thinner nib. And then I'll be moving over. I have some leather paints, so once I have the stenciling down, I'll move over to the leather paint and I'll finish it off by hand. It's going to be a bit of a quieter one today. I've had a bit of a tiring week and my fibromyalgia is flaring up, but hopefully that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to draw the stencil on, and then from there I'll get out my paints. So as I say, today's just going to be a quieter one. I'm not really feeling super talky. It's okay if this stencil doesn't come out perfectly, it's just more so I can rough in where I want it. When I lift this, it's not going to be perfect. The paint will seep under. I've done it before, but it's just for a general idea. If it was a lighter leather, I'd use a pencil, and then it won't matter quite as much when I do mess up. I have it all taped down to try and keep it as flat as I can, and I'm adding some extra pressure where I'm directly painting. I find this is a nice way to put your own stamp on a book without needing to use book plates or pictures or fabric, like patterned fabric. Makes it nice and personalised. And I have a bunch of different gilding. I say gilding because that just means gold. Metallic paints meant for leather that I will use. I'm hoping I have a silver. I'm pretty sure I do. I'd say this is mostly just to rough in the shape. Doesn't need to be perfect because this reference is going to be gone once the finished piece is done. So I mean, other than Mum seeing this video, it's not like she's going to have it directly here to compare. I really liked this stencil. I like that it has all of the celestial elements, so it's a tree of life, but it's at night, which fits the theme on the inside. Trying to decide if I hold off on posting this video until 2 days from when I film it, because it would be perfect for ABC April. S is for stenciling. So I might hold off on posting and then just do something else that can go up in between. Sorry that I haven't posted anything in the past few days. With a flare-up, just going to work is... well, I was going to say enough. It's too much, actually. And I've had work the past few days, so... I already did around the outside with these little dots. I wanted to test that first to make sure. Only one of them really messed up. This guy up in the corner. I put too much pressure down. It's because I just opened up this paint pen, so it was extra fluid. And I have a hard nib. If I was to use the other end, which is a brush nib, I probably could get thinner. but I wanted a hard nib so that it's not flexing underneath the stencil. I'm doing my very best to keep the stencil down. As I say, with the finished piece, it shouldn't matter too much. At least for the branches and stuff, I can make that work. The dots are a bit harder to obscure if I mess it up, but you know, we'll just pretend that they're stars. Sorry if you can hear any of the work going on outside. It's a warmer day, not as warm as it has been, but so there's people out doing all their yard work, trimming trees. It's kind of nice. I'm sat here with the window open just listening. That piece is going to give me a bit of problems right here. I need to make sure that I hold it down properly when I'm doing it, because I don't need that lifting and flicking paint everywhere. Yeah, let's keep you down. Thank you. I've only done this kind of stenciling on a journal cover once. It was for the Forester journal, which I don't have anymore, so I can't show you, but I might add some pictures to my community tab, which is like the discussion board on here. That's my big giant book that I made. I used a different tree stencil for it. It came out really well, but I was a bit heavy-handed with the method that I was using. I didn't go in with a pen ahead of time. I just went in with the paint straight away over the stencil. Do not recommend that. You don't have anywhere near as much control. Things were moving. The paint was going under, which, as I say, that's going to happen. But I was way too heavy-handed. I think if I'd have just quickly gone over it once and then taken up my paint brush and finished it that way, it would have been better, but I tried just making it perfect through the stencil. Yeah, that didn't happen. Once I have the main tree, I'm going to pause the video and go in and get all these teeny tiny little stars. Because I'm going to need to be closer. And the only way I'm getting closer right now is if my head is covering the camera. So, do this part and then, let's see, I'll get all of those little nitty gritty pieces. And then we'll reveal the stencil and see how it's looking. I have some very tiny brushes that I got specifically for doing this kind of detail work. I'm going to need to go and grab some water too so I can rinse off the brush. I had messaged my mum to see if there was any specific writing that she wanted on the cover, if she wanted it to say anything. As of right now, she's not sure. So I'm going to have a little think if there's anything that I can write on just special for her. I definitely want to write something on the spine. That's really the only spot that, because otherwise this is going to have a nice thing. I have some smaller stencils I want to do on the back, but the spine is a nice big open space, so I think it would be nice. Okay, I'm going to pause the video whilst I go and get all these smaller little dots, and then I'll be back. That didn't take very long. So now I'm going to remove the stencil. We're going to have a look at it, see how it's looking, make sure that there's nothing major missing. To protect the inside papers, I attached it to a piece of paper. There we go. So as you can see, it's far from perfect, but this isn't how it's supposed to stay anyway. And I think this white paint that I used will help the silver really pop on this black cover. But I'm very happy with that. There's a few areas that I'm going to need to define more when it comes down to it. And then I need to decide if I want to keep, you see this inner circle here? I need to decide if I want to keep that or if I want to brush through it. Because I think I prefer this circle. I don't like this smaller circle in the middle. It was part of the design, but I don't think that I want that there. So I think that I'm probably going to end up I'm not sure if those little circles were there to keep the structure of the stencil, right? So that it's not so floppy. So I think when I do it, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna get rid of that. I like the big circle. I don't like the smaller one. But I need to be right back because I need to grab the paints, the brushes, and some water. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. So I have a small little bowl of water. It's tiny, really. My very fine brush. I don't think I have one finer, although I can do a quick check. But I like these ones. They have the thicker part for your hands to hold, which is good for my wonky fingers. And then Angelus Metallic Silver. I also have a pewter, which is a bit of a deeper colour. But oh, also, at some point today, I need to glue these on. Usually I don't have to glue them. I'm not sure what the deal was here, but it did not want to clamp. So I need to remember that. In fact, let me see if I can just try again with the clamping. Sorry, complete tangent. Okay. I'm probably going to have to add glue, but that's fine. Alright, so just dampen that a little bit. I want to get it into a nice point. I want it nice and fine. I don't think I've used this one before. And this is specifically leather paint. That's important. You don't want it scratching off. Yum, a lovely film is on top of this. Just toss that. Not onto that. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to take a scrap of this leather real fast, just to see how the silver looks. And that's just one coat. So I'm very happy with that. It's very pretty. Whew. And this is the difficult part, because if I mess up, well, we already have the cover constructed, but I couldn't do it before the cover was constructed because I didn't know where this was going. So, as a lefty, where should I be starting? Well, I started with the dots when I did the stencil, so I'm going to go through and just get some of these little dots done. And some of this may end up needing a second coat, which is fine. But I'll probably do that off camera once we're done. If I remember correctly from using this paint last time, I mean I didn't use the silver paint, but it dries pretty fast, which is nice. Sorry. These are not going to be perfect circles. I don't have a dotting tool, so there's no way for me to make them perfect. But I think it's okay if we lean into them being more starry. I think that could work out. I do have metallic paint pens too, which I used on a different project recently and it did work well. But for this, for all of the effort that I'm going to with it, I'd rather use the real deal. I don't know if you can see that, but it's nice and shiny now. So I'm going to keep this to the right hand side because I'm lefty, so I'm not going to be drawing over that. And we're going to start on these roots. And again, I'm going over where that circle is. We're getting rid of that. Hopefully the colour won't be too different, because the rest of this has that white base to it from the paint pen. I'm sure for you this probably looks like I'm not even doing anything. I promise I am. I'm definitely going to have to go over where those lines were a couple of times. I can see that much already. Just because it's obviously the black is showing through more. I've also done this sort of thing before. Without a stencil, you can print off the design that you want, and if it's got writing, make sure it's... Oh no, it doesn't need to be flipped. Yeah. So you print it off, and then you put charcoal or graphite all across the back of the paper. Well, covering the image that you want, and then you trace it. You turn it right side with the charcoal down. That wouldn't work on this because it's a dark surface, but that is another option if you don't have stencils. I've done paintings like that before. Back before I actually tried to paint, when I thought, oh, I can't paint, I did that to make special pictures for people. And it still took a lot of hard work. You still had to neaten everything up, but it just gave you like the foundation, which I think for anything like this works well. But I found these gorgeous stencils when I knew I was doing that Forester's book. So I figured I may as well use them again. It came in like a big pack. I think if I could have just gotten one at the time, maybe I would have. But you know how it is, especially ordering online. They send you 50 things when all you really needed was one of them. But I have them now. And I like the Tree of Life as a symbol. I use it a lot, so... And I'm going very light with it. Like, with the pressure of my pen, my brush. I'm not pressing down hard. I'm actually barely touching the surface, and it's enough just to get those nice fine lines. So you don't need to be heavy-handed or anything, you just... And you can add other bits to it. You can add more branches or roots if you want, depending on what you're stenciling, I suppose. It just provides a very nice base. I don't think I'm going to be adding much else to the top of this. This one already had the details that I wanted built in, like the moons, the phases of the moon. Oops. That's what you get for trying to talk and paint at the same time, look. So you can see that bottom part is getting very shiny already. I think it is definitely going to need a second coat. I actually don't know how much help the white paint underneath is being, because it's still showing through. So I mean, it's helpful because it's got the stencil down. What I mean is, for covering that black, both is still showing through, whether it's the black or the white. So if I was freehanding this, I don't think putting down the white paint first will have made a big difference, is what I'm trying to get at. Turn you. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of turning because I don't want my hand resting in the bits that I've already done. Some of the other ones had leaves, which I quite liked. Some of the other stencils, I mean, sorry. But I think with the nighttime theme going on here, I actually quite like it being a bit more wintry. Especially since I'm only outlining, I'm not going in with colour on top. You know, I'm not adding in green for leaves or anything. I think this will allow it to be much more I think it looks better this way with the silver when I'm not doing other colours, and that was a bit heavy-handed there, Libby, well done. It's okay. They're branches. They're not predictable in real nature, you know. I still haven't done this side, or the moons. I'm going to let that be last, so that I can keep moving this around where my hand needs to go. One thing I will say is, whilst I was working earlier this week, the weather was gorgeous and my garden beds came in. I ordered a couple of garden beds. But after work each day, I was so dead that I couldn't get out there to do anything whilst the weather was nice. And now that I'm off, I mean, the weather's not horrible out there, but it rained a lot yesterday, so the grass is all wet. I'm hoping tomorrow it will clear up, because it's just my luck that when I have a day off, the weather's changed and I can't go out there and do what I want. I don't think I could have done it today anyway. This flare-up has me in a lot of stiffness and pain. But you know, I want to get it done this week. because I have a lot in my little greenhouse. I say greenhouse, it's literally just a plant stand with plastic over it. You know, one of the little ones that you buy and assemble. But they're really flourishing in there, even with the cold that came on yesterday. So they're going to want to be transplanted sooner than later. So I'm using my pinky as an anchor back here so that I'm not resting my hand over places that could already be wet, like this area here. I think it'll be dry soon, but I don't want to risk it and get paint everywhere. So what I mean to say is my hand is up off the book, which is going to hurt after a little while, but well, I don't know if it would hurt people normally. I have joint issues, so. I really hope that Mum likes the design that I chose. I say I had quite a few options, but one of the key things she asked for was the midnight blue colours coming through and the silvers. And I think this nighttime tree scene definitely fits that far more than some of the others. It's giving me kind of coral vibes, but I like it. A bit too much paint on the end of that. I was going to end up globbing, and I did not want to glob. As I'm going, I'm keeping an eye out over here for any spots that either don't have the silver yet or that are dry but I can see the black through. So like down here. It's another reason I'm going light with it. It'll dry faster and it'll let me go over the top sooner without rubbing off the wetter paint, I guess. And I'm going branch by branch and making sure I'm not filling in where that circle was. It's letting me see from afar, okay, this is how much of it I've done. Hopefully that makes sense. Otherwise I'd have my instinct is to go in and fill in all of these gaps first, but then I'll lose track of where I am. So, taking it slow and steady, not trying to rush. I'm trying to decide if I want to put her initials on the top. What I might end up doing is doing the initials down the side. That might be what I do for the spine. I also still need to figure out how I want to close this. I'm thinking about just tying it like a sash. That way it can be removed. Or I have some different furniture pieces like that are meant to close boxes and whatnot. The only issue with those is that adds a lot more bulk, which I don't mind. But it might be a pain when it comes to shipping. And I'm not talking, I don't care the cost of shipping or anything, or the weight of it. I'm just worried about, packages can end up being poorly handled in transit. And I don't want this getting destroyed. If I do it as a leather one, it's going to end up taking part of this, which is fine. I just need to be careful with it. I don't want it like too far in and ruining the design. But I also couldn't wait until after I had whatever closure I'm doing, because then the closure would be in the way. But yeah, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, closure-wise. I'll probably have a bit of a brainstorm once I'm done with this. Oh, careful, Libby. Dropping your paintbrush that's wet with paint is not a smart idea. Okay, how are we doing? My fingers are covered in silver paint. Because I'm holding it so far down. But you do what you gotta do for that control. If I'm holding it too high up, then it's just moving however it wants to. That's something I've learnt through work, actually. I work in a bakery. And it's just a grocery store bakery, so for the most part, there's nothing too hands-on. But every now and then, I'll base frost cakes and that sort of thing. And I learned better how to control the knife or the flat spatulas and stuff that we use. It's all in like where you hold it. And then it helped me with other parts. Like we have to, say, doing the garlic bread. Like when we're spreading the garlic. When I first started, it would take me forever to do one piece of bread because I'm going back and forth. But after starting with the cakes and realising that you had a lot more control and pressure depending on how you hold it, now I can do it in like a swipe or two. And I think that sort of thing helps with art too. A lot of it is about control, right? It's how much or how little control you want to give, say, a brush. So like with fine work like this, it's why I'm anchoring, it's why, smaller brush, tiny amount of paint. And I think there would have been a time before now. Well, there's obviously any time I've had is before now, but before learning all that with hands-on experience in the workplace, where I might have rushed this a bit more. Not because I didn't care, but because I just wanted to get it done and sent out and, onto the next project or onto the next part of the project. But it's better to take your time with slower but more precise strokes than it is to rush. And then you're going to have to go back and touch things up more and, it doesn't actually save you time in the long run. It's looking very shiny. I like it. Push that a little too far. Get you off. Oh, I'm going over a spot that I've already painted, so I need to be careful with that. Alright, we'll leave that alone because it starts pulling up not just the paint you're now putting down, but what you put down before if you do it before it's dry. So I'm going to leave that spot there, even though I know that it needs me to go over it. And wait for it all to be dry. So a little bit too much paint again there. Yeah, definitely gonna need, if not a full second coat, then there's gonna be areas that need touching up. But I think that's the case with any painting project. Building up layers, all that. But we're almost done with the main tree. I'm nervous about the moons. Because I'm going to have to shape in some of this, which is fine. So I'm going to take it and I'm just going to twist it and see, I think a little bit more over here. Because the paint that I used earlier is matte and this is shiny, so yep, that looks good. Now I have these circles and then the moons and then all the little stars in the background. I'm going to do the moons first, that way I'm not trailing through here. So I think what I'm going to do is just try and I'm going to focus more on matching them here than I am to matching them with the stencil. The stencil is just a base, you know, the rest of it is, it matters more now how it looks on the cover, if that makes sense. Just doing very gentle little flicks to try and get the ends of the crescents to be a bit more pointy. And I'm going to thicken in just this little part of this crescent. I actually really like how this moon's looking in the middle. If you can see where it isn't shiny, it actually has like a moon texture to it. Kind of want to keep it like that. I'm not going to. But I think it'd be weird if that was the only thing not silver. Pull you in just a tiny bit. That little bit there is going to annoy me where the brush bunched. Clearly I'm neater on that side. Which I think just comes from which way my... Oh. That's why we don't talk at the same time, maybe. Okay. Let's try that again. Yeah, this side's a little bit rougher. That's okay. Sisters, not twins, that's what they say, right? Yeah, that bit there's gonna really annoy me. It's okay. There must be a way that I move better, like angle wise. I must be doing this way better than this way. It's fine. Oh my god, Libby. Libby, that was awful. Because I'm filling in, I'm not just lining. It's the nib of the brush is flaring. It's okay. This bit here is going to annoy me a little bit. I might go in with some black paint once everything's dry, just to define those areas. Okay, so what's left is this side and then all those little speckles. So I'm going to start left. I should start right, but I'm going to start left because I just painted in those moons. I think the tip of my brush is feeling a little bit abused because it's not as precise as it was. That's fine. That's fine. So I'm going to go through and get all these much smaller bits and pieces, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I neatened it up just a tiny bit with this pen. I didn't try and go in and completely perfect it with it. I like that it's not perfectly equal on both sides. I just separated it a little bit from some of these smudges. I left a lot of the smudges, they can just be stars. But that's how it turned out. I think it looks great, especially with the silver book corners. It's nice, it's shiny, it'll set beautifully. It'll still be shiny once it's set. So I just need to decide what I want to do here with the edge. And then for the back, if I can find my other stencils that I had planned over here. Oh, so this was the other one that I was considering, but I prefer this. I have a treefold and then another little tree. I think I'm gonna go for the trifold. Trefoil, I can't think what it's called. My brain's not here. And I'm just gonna pop it in the corner. Obviously not with the 39, but I need to let this dry first, and I will do this off camera just so it's done for next time. I accidentally spilled my water. Hopefully that leather will soak a little bit of it up. It's just scrap. Alright, so that's what we did today. I'm going to go ahead and glue these corners on properly. Yeah, and let this set. I'd say later on today I'll get this guy going. This one I'm going to try and keep the definition where the stencil, these bits. I think it looks better. But yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.